Alright, so we will be looking at another variation today for Traxler's defense. So as we play knight here, knight g5, bishop c4, knight takes f7, bishop takes f2, king takes f2, and knight takes e4. From here, we've already covered the options if the king was to move back to e1, if the king was to move to g1, or if the king was to move to f1, but now we have the new option of king e3. After king e3, queen will play h4. White will respond by playing g3. Knight takes g3, pawn takes g3, and queen d4 check. Alright, white will have the possibility of moving down here, king f3. If he moves down here to e2, queen has the chance to take the bishop, checking the king, as well as replying with taking that f7 knight. Alright, so after queen d4 check, king will move to f3 and black will castle. By castling, we can see that the knight is unable to move due to the rook pinning the king. So king will move away to g2 and queen c4, taking that bishop and then attacking that f7 knight. Alright, so knight g5, he wants to move that knight away. And from here, we'll play queen d4, sorry, check. No, sorry, queen d5, check. And from here, king will play g1, he'll hide down here. And from here, queen d4, check. As a follow-up, by checking the king multiple times, black puts itself at an advantage, controlling the squares of the queen and positioning the queen more effectively to go for a checkmate. Alright, queen d4, king moves back to g2, and now from here, black can unleash its attack by playing after king g2, queen c4 check. Alright, after queen c4. Here, queen can play f2 check, positioning the king to move, forcing the king to move up into the corner. As you can see, he can't play g1 or g2 because those squares are attacked by the queen. So his only escape route is to play king h3. From here, we'll start developing our rook f6, threatening to move that rook on that h6 square, almost checkmating the king. And we also have the threat of a bishop on c8 if we're able to move our d pawn. Alright, rook f6. White will counter by playing knight e4, thinking he's forked the queen and the rook. However, black is one step ahead and he's able to play rook h6, checking the king. King will play g4 and d5. As we can see, now we're starting to utilize our bishop, checking the king as well as attacking the knight simultaneously. Alright, king will play g5, and from here, black will finish it off by playing queen f5. As we can see, that queen is defended by the bishop on c8. It's avoiding the squares of the knight. That's on f6, as well as strongly, Here, queen can play f2 check, positioning the king to move, forcing the king to move up into the corner. As you can see, he can't play g1 or g2 because those squares are attacked by the queen. So his only escape route is to play king h3. From here, we'll start developing our rook f6, threatening to move that rook on that h6 square, almost checkmating the king. And we also have the threat of a bishop on c8 if we're able to move our d pawn. Alright, rook f6. White will counter by playing knight e4, thinking he's forked the queen and the rook. However, black is one step ahead and he's able to play rook h6, checking the king. King will play g4 and d5. As we can see, now we're starting to utilize our bishop, checking the king as well as attacking the knight simultaneously. Alright, king will play g5, and from here, black will finish it off by playing queen f5. As you can see, that queen is defended by the bishop on c8. You can see here, it is checkmate. The king has nowhere to go. Very powerful opening from the Traxler, as you can see. With white's pieces, they're underdeveloped compared to black. We've utilized our rook, our queen, our bishop, and our knight, all while forcing white to just move its king itself, just by attacking that f2 pawn. We bring the king out of its hiding place. It's a very powerful opening. Alright, now as you can see, we're back to the same position, knight e4. Previously, we've just shown if king plays e3, queen will move to h4 still. Alright, however, in this position, if the opponent suddenly wants to play king f3, we can move our queen to f6 still. Queen f6 over here, instead of the usual queen h4. So we'll now move our queen to f6. So queen f6 check, king will move to e3 if they decide to play that now. Queen will play f2 check, king will move to d3, and followed up by a knight c5 check. King will play c3 and checkmate by the queen there on d4. Alright, but white wouldn't want to play that move if he knows he was gonna be checkmate soon. So after knight e4 and king plays f3, queen will play f6 check. A better option for the king after queen f6 check is to take that knight. So king takes e4, d5. Sorry, d5 over here. As you can see, by playing d5, we double the king and the bishop, forcing the white to make a move, as well as we've started to develop our bishop in a way. So by opening up that d square pawn, so d5, bishop d5. So bishop will take, and from here, queen f4 check. As you can see, white has blocked its own position to move down to that d5 square with that bishop. So after queen f4, if king plays to d5, actually from here, king will play d3, to which queen will play d4 check. The only possible escape for white is to play king e2, in which black will take that d5 bishop, threatening to take that f7 knight. And if white wants to take that, black can counterattack. So at this point on, white would like to play defensive more than aggressive. So instead of taking the h8 rook, king will play e1. All right. So from here, queen will play g2, playing aggressive, attacking, threatening to take that rook. Rook will play f1, and bishop g4, and it's a win. As you can see here, the white queen is trapped. He can take. Black will be able to reply by taking. If rook plays to f3, it only delays it so much, to which the queen is still trapped. So as you can see here, you don't win with the checkmate, but you do win with pieces, and surely enough, ultimately, it will come up to a conclusion for a checkmate in this position. So just another sub-variation from after black plays d5, doubling the king and the bishop, as well as opening way for that c8 bishop. If king takes d5 instead, then knight will play b4 check. After knight plays b4, king will have to play e4, to move away from black's territory, and queen f4 checkmate over here. As you can see, that knight on b4 plays an imperative role in blocking the d5 as well as d3 square, stopping the white king from escaping. Another sub-variation is if king plays to, after taking d5 and knight plays b4 and rook, king plays c5, coming into black's territory, then an easy queen b6 would go for a checkmate. Same as last time, that knight on b4 plays an imperative role in blocking both the d5 and d3 squares, stopping the king from escaping. All right. So we've pretty much covered if king moves to f3, king moves to e3, if king moves to e2, if king moves to f1, or even e1. But now lastly, we're going to see if what happens if king moves to g1. All right, your queen will play h4, same. Queen will play f1, wanting to defend that f2 square, avoiding checkmate. So rook will play f8. As you can see, we're not castling because we're not pinning the king. We're just pinning the queen this time. So there's no need to put yourself into a pin with that bishop on c4. After rook f8, white will play g3, trying to attack that queen, move it away. To which queen will play e7. Queen will play e7 just to retreat and overloading that knight. As you can see, that knight is going to be, if that knight gets moved away, then there will be a threat for the queen. And if we can move this bishop away, this is a free knight for black. All right, queen e7, d3. White would want to attack this knight as well as allow that bishop on c1 to develop. And black will reply with d5. All right. If white takes, then black can take that c4 bishop, as well as following up to remove that f7 knight. However, from here, white doesn't want to swap, so bishop will take it instead. Bishop d5. Queen will play c5, check. And by checking the king, he will be forced to move down to g2. All right. If bishop plays, queen can just take. There's no defense on that. There's no defense on that e3 square apart from that bishop itself. So the more logical move would be for king to play g2. All right. Knight f2. So knight will play f2 after king plays f2. And the reason why we do that is so that if queen would want to take, queen can recapture that bishop, checking the king, as well as gaining a move to attack that knight f7 on f7. All right. So queen d5. So queen will follow up with it. Queen f2, and queen will take that. Queen d5. Check. King will play g1. Rook f7. So we'll follow it up by taking that knight, and queen will play e1. As we can see now, the position we have, if we just flip the board around real quick, that rook, our rook on f7 is controlling that whole f file. Very powerful, as well as the queen on this d5 square, controlling the diagonal. Over here on e4, f3, g2, and h1, the king is pretty much pinned. It's unable to move. All right, after queen e1, we'll start to utilize our bishops, our other pieces. So bishop h3, forcing a threat on rook to f1. As you can see, if we can get both our rooks aligned or maybe a queen involved in there, this will go very bad for white. Queen will play e2 to defend that square on f1, as well as g2, with the queen on d5 also attacking that g2 square. All right. So After queen e2, queen will follow up with d4, checking the king, and bishop will play e3, blocking, and queen will take it, e3 check. As you can see here, by our black queen taking that bishop, we sacrifice our queen in order to remove that defense on that f1 square from the white queen. So as you can see, if queen wants to capture it, then checkmate over there for white. Which he does, takes, and checkmate. Sub variation is after queen takes that f2 knight, and our queen takes the bishop on d5. If queen was to play f3, then bishop h3 would be the much more effective move, checking the king, removing the guard off the queen, to which queen can take. However, if king was to move down to f2 or even to f2, then we have that rook taking that f7 knight, attacking the queen as well as that king. All right. Even so, if queen was to take, queen will reply with that, taking the f7 queen as well, and checking the king, allowing black to have a movement advantage. King will play g1, to which queen will play h4, standard queen e2 this time. Knight will play d4, which will be just over there. Now that the queen's played to e2, knight will come in. These two knights in the center pretty much control the 4 squares on the second file, on the second rank, which is F, E, D, and C2. Queen will be forced to play f1, and rook can play f8 over here, pinning that queen again. As you can see, although it's different moves, the same variation applies. White will want to play g3, queen h5, just move one down. In doing that, you're overloading another attack on that f7 knight, as well as opening attacks and probably defending that f3 square, just in case that knight wants to play f3. All right. Queen h5, d3. White wants to shake that knight off, as well as try and develop the bishop. Knight will play e2, check. Oops, sorry, wrong one. Knight e2, check. King will play g2. As you can see, that queen cannot take it, because queen will just simply take back. King doesn't want to put himself in a bad spot. He can't move to f2 because of that knight on e4. So the only move is down to g2, to which black will reply with the same counterattack on the bishop, but playing d5. And after d5, white simply ignores it and just plays h4 to defend the threat of the king being checkmated. Alright, so rook will take f7, attacking the queen. And as you can see, the bishop is still being attacked. Oops. Bishop still being attacked. So, however, the queen is more important. So the queen will play d1, moving away, trying to pin that knight because that queen is undefended. However, a quick rook f2 will finish it off and checkmate here for white. So the last of the variations for king g1, as you can see, same queen h4. Queen will play f3 this time. As you can see in the past, we've had queen to f1, we've had queen to e2. Now lastly, it's queen to f3. The queen more out, it's given up that weak square on e1. But let's see how black will effectively take care of this. So after queen f3, knight will still play d4, attacking that queen, to which the queen will still retreat back to f1, and the same position applies. So rook f8, g3, queen h5, one down. This time, after Unlike last time, white played d3 over here. At this point, another option for white is to play queen g2 to effectively give space for the king to move to f1, as well as already anticipating the attack with the bishop over on c8 later on. All right, queen g2. Black will still play d5. Bishop will retreat to f1. As we can see, they're defending that h3 square just in case bishop wants to play h3. However, what white fails to realize is that knight f3 is enough for white to lose the queen itself. As we can see, it's trapped itself. So, knight f3 check. The only available move is for queen to take the knight. Alright, however, instead, if bishop was to take bishop was to play d3 instead, bishop h3 would work out. So as you can see, instead of bishop playing back to f1, bishop will play d3, attacking that knight. Bishop or h3 will still end up losing the queen. As you can see, queen can't play here because knight will take. Queen can't also play to e2 because knight will take. Queen can't take because of the reply on the queen on h5. And as we can see, it's just a loss for white. Alright. Another option as well, if bishop was to take d5 instead, our knight on d will play to f3 over here. And king will play f1. And at the end, it's still a loss for white. As you can see, the queen has been skewered by the bishop, and there's no way that white can escape out of this. So I'd like to conclude to say thank you guys for watching. As we can see, we've just analyzed Traxler's defense, a very powerful opening for black to gain a positional advantage as well as piece advantages. So I hope you guys have learned something today, and hopefully we'll see you in the upcoming videos. Thank you very much.